My mom has never been kind to me. Ever since I was young, she would make comments that hurt. "Wana, why do you always look so plain?" she'd ask, as if I had chosen to be this way. She would shake her head and act like I was a mistake. It hurt even more because I'm her daughter, but she didn't treat me like one. I'm 38, still single, and working a normal office job. To her, that made me a failure. She'd always say, "You're nothing like Melissa." Melissa is my older sister, beautiful, smart, married, and successful. She's everything I'm not. Melissa is 2 years older than me. She went to a top university, got a great job, and married a well-respected coworker named Harrison. They had a daughter, then a son, and later a third child. She balances work and family like a pro. She's loved at work, praised at home, and seems to have the perfect life. I've always admired her, even if it hurt. We weren't close, but I didn't dislike her. It just always felt like she lived in a world where I didn't belong. No one ever said it out loud, but I could feel the difference. When I was younger, I struggled with school. Melissa loved learning. I remember her saying, "Studying makes me feel smarter." I never felt that way. School confused me, and I couldn't keep up. She'd win awards in sports, too. I'd watch her run in races, always finishing first, and Mom would clap like she'd won the lottery. Then she'd look at me and sigh. I began to feel like no matter what I did, I'd never be good enough. It wasn't just the words, it was the way people looked at me. Like I didn't belong, not even in my own family. The only person who made me feel loved was Dad. He treated both Melissa and me the same. He never cared about looks or grades. He just wanted us to be happy. When he died 7 years ago, everything changed. That was the same year Melissa had her first baby. Mom said she was glad he got to see his grandchild, but I was just sad he was gone. After he passed, no one defended me anymore. Mom's comments got worse. "You really took after your father," she'd say in a mean way, like it was something to be ashamed of. After Dad passed away, we sold our old house. It was old and falling apart. Melissa and her husband offered a solution. They would use their savings and the house money to build a new 2-family home. They gave me a choice: take my share and live alone, or move in with them. I was scared to live by myself, and they said they'd be happy to have me. Even Mom agreed and pushed for it. I thought maybe, just maybe, I could feel like part of a family again. So I said yes and moved in with them. At first, living together felt okay. Melissa's kids, Sarah and Sammy, loved me. They called me Aunt Wana and hugged me every day. I picked them up from daycare, played with them, and helped around the house. It felt good to be needed. But Mom never let me feel happy for long. "Don't get too comfortable," she'd say. "You're just a babysitter." I pretended not to care, but her words stuck with me. Even during sweet moments, her voice stayed in the back of my mind, reminding me I didn't belong. I smiled for the kids, but inside I felt small. Things got worse when Melissa shared that she was pregnant again. Everyone was thrilled except Mom, who used it as another reason to tear me down. "Melissa is on her 3rd child. And you? Still nothing," she said with a sneer. "What are you even doing with your life?" I stayed quiet, but I started thinking maybe it was time to move out. I began looking for apartments, but every time I got close, Sammy would hug me or Sarah would say, "I love you, Aunt Wana," and I'd stop. I couldn't leave them. But I couldn't keep living like this either. One evening, I came home from work and found all my things dumped by the front door. Clothes, shoes, books, everything was just thrown there. I stood frozen. "What is this?" I asked. Mom looked at me with no emotion. "Since you won't leave, I packed for you," she said. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I bent down to gather my things, my hands shaking. Just then, Melissa came home with the kids. They stopped and stared at the mess. "What's going on?" she asked. I didn't know what to say. I just looked down, trying to hold in my tears. Before I could answer, Mom stepped in. "She's finally leaving. About time," she said. "Wana's just a burden. No husband, no kids, just aging and eating." Sarah walked up quietly and started helping me pick up my clothes. "Aunt Wana, are you okay?" she asked. Mom snapped, "Pretty girls don't pick up garbage. Leave it to her." I looked at Melissa, wondering what she would say. She stood still, her face unreadable. Then she looked at Mom and said something I'll never forget. "Then maybe you should leave." Mom went silent. We all did. It was like the air froze. "People who don't help or contribute should leave, right?" Melissa said. "That's what you always say. So it applies to you too." Mom started yelling, saying she was their mother and deserved respect. But Melissa stayed calm. "Wana helps with the kids, pays her share, and keeps this house running. You do nothing." I felt my heart pound. Melissa was defending me, not out of pity, but because she truly meant it. For the first time, I wasn't invisible. I was seen. Mom looked shocked. She had always counted on Melissa being on her side. But not this time. Melissa didn't stop. "You spent all your money, don't help around the house, and treat Wana like garbage. This is my house now, and I want peace here, for my kids and for myself." Mom started crying, saying we were ungrateful. Melissa didn't even blink. "You used me like a trophy, not a daughter. You only love showing me off." I was stunned. I always thought Mom loved Melissa the way she should have loved me, but now I realized Melissa had been hurting too. She just never showed it. She had stayed quiet all those years. But now, she had reached her limit. The next day, Melissa found an apartment for Mom. She packed her bags and paid the rent. But Mom never said thank you. She called me later, asking for money. I said no. She had already taken enough from me. My peace, my confidence, my sense of worth. I couldn't give her anything more. A few weeks later, I saw her working part-time at a supermarket. When she saw me, she asked for money again. I shook my head and walked away. She was still loud and bossy, even at work. I felt sad, but also free, for the first time ever. 2 years later, something amazing happened. I got married. My husband is kind, supportive, and sees the real me. On my wedding day, Melissa handed me an envelope. Inside was my full share from the house sale. "We saved it for you," she said. "You deserve it." I cried right there. I had always felt like a burden, like I was just in the way. But my sister didn't see me like that. She valued me. She always had. I just hadn't seen it before. That money helped us start fresh, our own place, our own family. I felt like I belonged somewhere. A year after I got married, I gave birth to twin daughters. Melissa's kids adore them and call them the babies. We spend weekends together, laughing, eating, playing board games. The house feels full of love now. Sarah, who used to be so quiet around me, now says, "Aunt Wana is the best." I finally have a life that feels like mine. The pain from the past didn't disappear, but it doesn't control me anymore. I still think about everything Mom said, but now it feels like a different world. I survived it, and I came out stronger. Looking back, I can't believe how far I've come. From being the unwanted daughter, called plain and useless, to being a wife, a mother, and a loved sister. It wasn't easy. There were nights I cried myself to sleep. Days I thought I'd never be enough. But life has a way of turning when you least expect it. And sometimes, the people you think don't care end up being the ones who care the most. Melissa didn't just speak up for me. She reminded me of my own worth. And that gave me the strength to finally stand on my own. Now, when I see my daughters smile, I think of my dad. He would have been proud. I think of Melissa too. How she stood between me and the pain I thought I had to accept forever. I'm grateful every day for the life I have now. And though I still don't speak to Mom, I've made peace with that. Not every story ends with forgiveness, but it can still end in healing. I may have started as the plain one, but I didn't stay that way. I grew. I changed. And finally, I'm happy just being me.